Hi everyone, this is Ravi. Welcome to Katalon Automation tutorial. So this is our lesson 27 where I'm going to cover a very important concept of data driven testing. I'm going to publish two parts, part 1 and part 2. So I'm going to cover the data driven testing important concepts in two parts. Our part 1, which is our current lesson, right, where I'm going to teach you how can you drive the test data from multiple sources of same kind. That means some of the test data available in one Excel workbook and some of the test data is available in another Excel workbook, right? So now how can you drive the test data from these two Excel workbooks while performing data driven testing? And then in part 2, I'm going to talk about driving test data from multiple sources of different kind. That means some of the test data is available in your Excel sheet and some of the secure data is available in database. So now how can you automate your test cases and how can you perform data driven testing to drive the test data from two different sources, Excel sheet and database? That is your part 2. So as I told you, part 1, I'm going to talk about two different Excel sheets and then how can you drive the data while performing data driven testing. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon, you'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Thank you. So what is the agenda item? So we are going to automate an end-to-end scenario using Katalon Studio as step 1, and then we are going to customize the script by introducing the variables. So basically, how can you achieve this data-driven automation for the two different sources? That's what I'm going to explain you. I'm explaining you. Okay. And then once you customize your script by introducing variables, you need to prepare the test data sheets using two different Excel sheets. And then you need to import these data files to Katalon Studio. And then you need to create TestSuite and perform a very important task called data binding using test data and variable binding. So now, without delay, let's jump onto the system and see how can you perform data-driven testing by using two different sources. Okay, so this is my latest version, Katalon, right? So what is our first step? Our first step is automate an end-to-end scenario using Katalon Studio. So let me quickly record one end-to-end scenario so that we can save some time. Okay. So before that, let me create one folder under test case, right? One folder saying multiple sources. Okay. Multiple sources are data driven testing. Data driven testing. I'll call it as data driven testing. Okay. Under this folder, I'm going to create one test case, multiple Excel sheets. Okay. So in this session, I'm going to cover multiple Excel workbooks. Okay. Driving test data by using multiple Excel sheets, right? As I told you, my next session will be how can you perform data driven testing by using Excel as well as database, right? Okay. So now let me record quickly one end-to-end test case. For that, you just click on record web as we do as usually, right? And then this is my URL. Okay. And this URL is related to Katalon's demo web shop. So basically Katalon's demo healthcare application. Now select Chrome. I want to select Chrome. You can select anything you want. Okay. I want to select Chrome. As soon as you select Chrome, it opens, right, the URL. Now click on make appointment and provide your username. Let me expand this. Okay. It records each and every step that we are performing. And this is your password. Okay, click on login. And here I want to select a facility to make an appointment, correct? So I want to select a facility of Hong Kong. Let's assume Hong Kong. And this is my date. I want appointment on 31st. And then this is my comments. Appointment for Hong Kong location, right? And then book appointment. Done. So now you can stop recording. So as soon as you stop recording, so you can save the script now. Save the script. I want to save the script by using, while saving the script, it saves the script as well as the objects that whatever you performed action, right? So you need to store all the locators. So I'll create a new folder called multi-data source. Okay, multi-data source. Click OK and store all the objects under multi-data source. So this is done, right? So now our first step is done. What is our next step? Our next step is customize script introducing variables. Now, instead of hard coding these values, I want to customize the script by using variables, right? So let's do that. Let me quickly here, okay, so before that I want to copy this encrypted value. Okay, let's copy this encrypt. I mean, you need not to copy encrypted value, that's okay. Let's keep it. Now let's introduce the variables, right? So to introduce the variables, you need to go to variables tab and add first variable, user name. So before that, let's understand the script, okay? I don't want to hard code my username password, and I don't want to hard code the facility that I selected, right? And also I don't want to hard code my comments. So I want to introduce variables for all these test data. Okay, so that's the reason first variable is username and second variable is password. What is my third variable? It's comments. Fourth variable is facility. Correct? All of them are strings. I want to make it a string. Okay, comments, facility. Done. I have created my variables. Now I have to replace these constants with the variables. What is this one? First you need to change this as variable instead of string. Now select the column, so select the variable that is applicable. Username and here also password, right? First change the variable type as variable and select the variable name. Done. And here this is actually a facility, so I want to select variable and this is a facility, correct? Done. And then here this is my comments, right? Variable value type and the variable that I want to select is comments. Done. So now we have replaced all the constants with the variables. What is our next step? Our next step is prepare test data sheets using two different Excel sheets. So let's go to my local folder here. I see already one test data sheet is already available here. What is this test data? So let me quickly open and show you that. Okay, so I have entered my comments. What is this? Appointment for Seoul, appointment for Hong Kong. I just need two test data sets. I'll just remove this one. Okay, let's remove this. Okay, and what is the facility? This is my facility, Seoul Cura Healthcare Center, Hong Kong Cura Healthcare Center. So drop down values, I'm going to select for the first time this one. I'm going to select second drop down this one. Okay, so save this. So this is my test data set for appointment details, right? I want to create another Excel sheet here. Another Excel sheet saying authentication. Okay, what I want to store here, I want to store username and password, because username and password are very secure. So I want to store them in separate Excel sheet where I can log the Excel sheet, or I can provide some Excel sheet, password, right? So that's why I'm going to maintain authentication in separate Excel sheet. Okay. So here, username and password. What is the username and password? For that, let's go here. I'm going to copy the username and password from here. Okay. It's sample username and password provided by Katalon. Okay. Let's store username, and then password. I want to store the encrypted one, right? Encrypt. Go to Katalon Studio. Go to help. I want to create encrypted text. For what? For this. So this is your encrypted text. Copy this and paste it here under password. So this is my encryption. Correct? This is encryption. Copy clipboard and paste it here. Okay, done. So now again, I'm going to select same username password for the second row as well. Okay, but for the second time, first test data set is username password, and I'm going to book for the facility Hong Kong, right? As we entered earlier, I'm going to book for the facility Hong Kong, right? And then again, you enter the username password, and this time I'm going to book for Seoul, right? So I want to save these test data sheets. I saved this test data sheet, right? Now we prepare test data sheets. Prepare test data sheets using two different Excel sheets. Now import data files to Katalon. Let's go to Katalon, and here if you see, there is a folder called data files. So here I want to create one folder. What I'll do? Data driven. Okay, I'll mention this as data driven, and here I want to create my first test data file, right? I'll say authentication. Okay, authentication. What is this? The data type is Excel. This is Excel file. So for this session, we are going to work on only Excel files or CSV files, correct? But next session, we will start working on database also. Database and internal data, both. Okay. So this is done. Excel file, authentication. And let me create another data file. Right click, test data. And here, healthcare, what I'll say? Appointment details. I'll call it as appointment details. Okay. Again, data type is Excel file. Click OK. Now let's go to authentication first. So this is my authentication. Now browse your Excel sheet that you want to import here, that you want to use. So my first Excel sheet is authentication. I can just click simply open. Now if you see, the test data is all automatically imported, and I'm going to check use first row as header, because this is my first row as header, right? Bind to test case as string. Okay, save this. Now go to your appointment details. Here again, browse your Excel sheet related to appointments where we stored. So Cura appointment details, correct? Open. Now you see the comments that I want to enter for the first booking and facility that I want to select for the first booking. And again, comments I want to enter and facility I want to book, right? Again here, use first row as header, bind to test case as string. Save this. So our next step is done. Imported data files to Katalon. Now create TestSuite and perform data binding using test data and variable binding. Okay, let me show you the process of variable binding. Okay, here in test data suite, again, let's create one new folder, data driven. Okay, I create a new folder. Now let's create a new test suite, data driven Excel source, right? So this is done. Now to this test suite, I want to map the test case that just now we created. correct, that we created just now. Okay, so let's import, add. Where is that test case? Data driven testing. This is my multiple Excel sheet, is my test case, correct? That's what we named. This is my multiple Excel sheets. That's what I imported here. Now we created test data suite. Now you need to perform data binding. How? If you see here, right side, on top right side, there is an icon called view test run history and show data binding. Click on show data binding. So if you see here, as soon as you click on show data binding, the variables whatever we defined in the test case, let's go here. These are the 4 variables that we defined, right? Those variables are automatically pulling here because this test case does have the variables. So those variables it is already showing here. Now we are not going to use variables because if you see the date variables whatever we created, right, we are not using any default values here. Instead, I don't want to assign any value to the variable. Instead, I want to assign the values from Excel sheet. That's why I left the default value as blank. That's okay. Now let's go here. I have the variables, but where is the values? I want to get it from Excel sheets. That's why I want to add the test data here. Let's click on add test data. And here, if you see, I can see a test data called data driven. Expand this. I can see appointment details, authentication. Both I have. Correct? So now I want to select both of them. Right? Both the Excel sheets. Credentials from authentication Excel sheet and other details from appointment details Excel sheet. Correct? Click OK. So now both the Excel sheet got imported. There are 2 ways to basically assigning the values to variables. One of the way is either you can select data column and bring one by one, or there is another way. I'll tell you. Okay, the artificial intelligence basically Katalon is a very intelligent to map your test data by using the name. You can see the username, password, the variable names what we used in the test case is same as the column names that we created in the Excel file. If you see username, password, even the variable name I have username, password, right? In the same way, in other Excel sheet also, I've created the same column names called comments and facility. That's why Katalon, if you go here, if you just click on map all, automatically choose suitable columns for all variables. A variable will be used with a column if there is names are the same. Okay, let's use this map all. If you see, it gives you how many are matched. If you see, found 4 matches. That's what we need. Total 4 variables. Click OK. See now what happened? All data type. It selected column and it automatically selected the corresponding test data sheet. What is the sheet? For username, it's authentication. And what is the column? Column value is username. If you see here, column value is username, correct, from Excel sheet. And this is the column value is password from Excel sheet. So basically, the Katalon intelligently mapped all of your variables to the corresponding Excel sheets and to the corresponding columns within the Excel sheets. Okay, so this is done. So you can just cross check username variable and username column from Excel sheet, password column from Excel sheet, comments column from Excel sheet, right? Facility variable name, facility column. Now save this. So our data binding is completed. So you can perform by using map all, or you can manually select this. How? Go and select data type as data column, and go and select your corresponding Excel sheet, and go and select corresponding column name from Excel sheet. That's it. So you can do manually also. Okay, This is done. Now I want to hide. Let's keep the data binding as it is. Okay, I don't want to hide the data binding. Let's keep it is aside. Okay, so now I want to run the test case and see what happens. Okay, so let's run this test case in Chrome. Now it should run 2 iterations. First iteration by using username password, and it should book for Seoul. I think it's a Seoul, right? And second iteration it should book for Hong Kong. Let's go here, click on Chrome. So now it starts our test case execution. Okay, so it is opening browser, and here see Chrome driver action. It is opening your browser here, and it is clicking on make appointment. See, it entered your username password for the first time. See Seoul, it is taken the Seoul. And the second one, second test data, now it is coming from username password from one Excel sheet, and this is Hong Kong and comments from other Excel sheet. Successfully completed. So if you see here, let's analyze our test results here. Okay, so basically we are able to bind 2 different Excel sheets. If you see here, my authentication is coming from one Excel sheet, username password, right, and comments coming from other Excel sheet. If you see comments, this is Seoul. Where is my second test case? This is my second test case. If you see second test case, Hong Kong comments, Hong Kong facility, right? Now hope you all understand the concept of performing data driven testing by using multiple data sheets. So if you have any queries, leave your queries in the comment box. I'll try to respond to your queries. Thank you. Hope you all understand the concept of data driven testing by using multiple sources. Here, 2 different Excel sheets, right? And then in my next session, I'm going to talk about multiple sources but different systems like Excel sheet and database, kind of MySQL, Maria database, or your Oracle database, whatever it may be, right? So 2 different source systems. Okay, please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon. You'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Thank you.